Welcome to the Nuventive Improvement Platform. My name is Bailey Watson. I have been working with a core team to implement the Nuventive Improvement Platform at San Diego Mesa College. We have a program review process set up with resource requests, action plans, unit goals. But today, what I'm going to walk through with you is outcomes assessment. We've been working for the past few months on getting a design and configuration set up for outcomes assessment, and I've been asked to create a very short video to walk you through those processes and give you a few highlights of what to expect. There are still a few things that we are implementing, so this video might not be 100% the way that it will roll out, but 99% we're there. So it's just a few things that might change before you're actually able to log in and work with it. The URL will be solutions.nuventive.com, but it is already embedded at least in the program review webpage for San Diego Mesa College, and I'm sure if you have an outcomes assessment page or just an assessment page in general, it'll be available there. So once you go to that particular portal, you will click sign in the very top far right. And then you will put in your San Diego Mesa or SDCCD .edu email address. For me, it's going to be a little bit different. And then whenever you hit next, it will route you to your Mesa San Diego single sign-on. The first time you log in, you will be navigated to the workspace that you will be working within. Now, a lot of you might have multiple workspaces, and in fact, many of you might have multiple workspaces. Some of you might have email-only access and will only interact with the platform through emails that will hit your inbox. So everything in the Nuventive Improvement Platform is permissions-based. And what you see on my screen is an instructional program. It's just a sample. It's what we've been working with, what we've been playing with, what we've been building off of. And this is going to give you kind of an overview of what's on the screen and how to navigate within it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start first, actually backed up a little bit of a level to where course data is going to be stored. The first way that we're going to navigate around, if you do happen to get access to the platform, is through this top drop down. When I click on it, it's going to show me everything. I've got access to see everything because I'm the person at Nuventive who works with your core team and helps build. But if I just type in the word sample, I'm going to go to a sample unit. We call them units. Just that would be for course assessment. So when I click on courses-sample, this is going to take me to an area that we've been playing within. And you might have access to courses philosophy, courses physics, political science, psychology, rad tech. So all of the different course codes are in here for humanities, for hospitality, Italian, Japanese journalism, all kinds of things. But I'm going to go to the sample, and on this screen, you're going to see one of our visual analytics. And what we feel is really important is to show you exactly what course is available, what the course name is, and then any of the course learning outcomes that are inside the platform, because we want to make sure that curriculum is 100% up to date for all of your different areas. Of course, this is just a sample unit, so you see my course number as Nuv for Nuventive 101, Nuventive Example Course. The course learning outcome short name. And so this is going to be something like critical thinking or problem solving, and then the course learning outcome description. So this is going to give you a really high level overview of what courses are available that you can see and what the course learning outcomes are. Now, of course, we're going to create many more dashboards for visual analytics. But what the doc will be able to see, what someone with full access will be able to see, which is going to be very limited, is we're going to go to the second place where we can navigate, and that's this 3-line icon up here. When we bump it out, we are going to see that we have the ability to do a course outcome review form so that the doc can always go in and say, yep, all of these courses are accurate, the course learning outcomes are accurate, if not, what needs to be changed. So that's going to be a really easy thing for people to be able to do to keep things current. And then we have our course assessment. Every area has a document library. That document library is only available to those people who have access to any given unit. And then you'll see something called Manage Assignments, and I'll show you how assignments work in just a second. So if we go to Course Assessment, essentially what you're going to come in and see is that every course and every course learning outcome has already been uploaded. Of course, we don't have an assessment method or an assessment design because that is going to be determined by the department or by individual faculty, however it is that you do it. So we only imported courses and course outcomes. But you'll see I have one outcome right here, short name. It's just an example short name. This is my outcome. It is active, and this is when I'm assessing it. And again, this form might change just very slightly before you have the ability to log in and play with it. But for the most part, I think we're pretty much done. So if I double click into this, I'm going to see the actual form. That form is only going to be controlled by certain people who have access to come in to make sure that the outcome is accurate. And then the second tab across, so let's just say that this was a critical thinking outcome. Well, what would the target or the benchmark for the CLO be? So if I click on this tab right here, this shows me just an example. This is not real data at all, but 70% of students should score a 3.5 or greater on the common rubric. If you don't have a common rubric, if everyone is using course embedded assignments, portfolios, presentations, tests, whatever the case is, we just really want a place where that common agreed upon target / benchmark can be recorded. From this, I'm going to double click. It is a simple form. This is an active benchmark. Let's say in the future you find that either the benchmark is unrealistic and you want to change it, you can mark it to archived, and then you can close this form and you can add another benchmark. Or let's say that maybe 100% of students are performing at whatever capacity that you set the target to benchmark to be. Well, maybe that target benchmark, you want to change it, make it more rigorous. Who knows? This is up to you. But when you double click on this card, you're going to be able to see the form. And then when I scroll down, these are people who are actually in our working group. And some of them might be your docs. You might see some names. But essentially, you have the ability to determine who is the person or the persons who will give you the data. So for a course learning outcome, is the doc going to be responsible for collecting all of that data and then coming in and putting that data in? Or would you rather send out an email, and we call it an assignment, to individual faculty members? And in this little table, you can see when the email assignment was sent, to who it was sent, the status. Some of them, these are not started, and when the due date is. So May 22nd is the due date. It hasn't been started just yet, of course, because the due date's not approaching. But I can filter this to say, all right, well, who actually did submit it? And I'm changing this view, and we can see that one person did submit. And so there's a really great way to keep track of who actually did submit their results without actually having to go and try to track down the results. But if I click on this green little plus sign right here, I'll show you how this works. If I'm a doc and I want to assign this course learning outcome, and at 70%, I could come in and I could assign it to anyone. So everybody who has access to this sample unit, which are a lot of people, can be picked up. And so let's say that I need to send it to Mark. I'm not actually going to send it to Mark, but I can send it to multiple people, right? So I can send it to a whole bunch of people. I can even search for a name, right? And pick up a name. I'm going to give it a due date. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, well, it's going to be due by the 15th of May of 2022. I'm going to save that. And if anyone wants to provide me with completed rubrics or raw test scores or an example of the questions that you used on a test, well, then we could do that. You could give us a related document and we could specify the document folder that we might want you to put it in. All of that you'll be trained on how to do. The email subject can be CLO assessments, whatever it is that you might want to send. And this is going to be probably up to a doc to do. And then any notes and instructions. And this is a rich text field. So any notes and instructions that I want to give. When I click save and close, which I'm not going to do, otherwise all of you would be getting this, this email, save and close, then it's actually going to send an email. And in that email, Mark's email will only go to Mark. The link will only go to Mark. Gina will have a completely different email and a completely different link. So Mark can't see Gina's. Gina can't see Valerie's. Valerie can't accidentally add something for Mark. It is completely locked down to only the person that is getting this email. Well, I'm going to close this and then I'm going to show you exactly what it is you'll see. So now we have a tab for assessment results, and that is if the doc wants to go in and put in these assessment results themselves. But if I click on this, then I'm going to see, I'm going to open this up, and I am going to, this is the actual form that I would get with all the details, right, that I would fill out if I was a faculty member receiving this email. The submission date, and actually, you know what, I'm going to close this because this was, here I'll add, so it's brand new. The submission date is going to default to the current day's date. Today is April 20th. The submission date defaults to the date that you are actually submitting your individual data. It is for Nuventive 101, outcome 1, pardon me. And then if I click show details, it'll show me the learning outcome, it'll show me the benchmark target, and then I can from there provide my details. So let's say that I am assessing, or I have 3 sections of Nuventive 101. Well, as a faculty member, I am going to put in an aggregate result of my 3 sections for my results on this first outcome. So I'm going to select, and this is where we might change something. Right now it's academic years. I'll select 2022, 2023, and then I'm going to provide the assessment method details. How exactly did I assess this? What was my method? What was my measure? And anytime I click into these fields and you see this little I, it pops up field level help. So there are actual instructions of what to include in each of these fields. So this would be a description of the design, and then the assessment design, so the assessment method. These are all terms that you should recognize from your previous process. And then what is the category? So personally, for me, I am an adjunct professor. I teach at a community college in Texas, but I teach public speaking. So likely my assessment method is going to be some kind of visual or audio recording. It might be written work in terms of an outline, or it could be a presentation. This is a single, no, actually this is a multiple select. So if I'm doing a presentation, but it also has written work attached to it, then I could select both, but typically I'm just going to select one. Now, what this is going to do for us is it will allow you to do some really great analysis on your courses. So let's say that in any given course for an outcome, five different results came back and they were coded as written work, and 5 results came back and they were coded as portfolios. And let's say that the portfolios performed much better than the written work. Well, we can do a little analysis. We don't have to know who's teaching the class. We don't need to know what section it came from. But if you code the type of assessment that you're giving, you can do some really great analysis on, are presentations something that students are really excelling at, or are they really excelling at the multiple choice tests? And why might there be a disparity, or are both of them really great? So that's the section for assessment method details. You're going to have a findings section. So what was your conclusion? Was the target or benchmark met, or was it not met? And as the help suggests, if you're unsure of what the target or benchmark is for these courses and these CLOs, reach out to your doc. But when you click show details, it is going to tell you what that target or benchmark is. So you should have that information. So we can say we met the benchmark. If you wanted to attach any evidence, then you could do that with this feature right here. It's called related documents. So if you wanted to attach a very short video or a sample essay that was written by a student to show evidence, or maybe a filled out rubric, as I often have to do because where I teach we use evaluation rubrics. Then you're going to give us the number of sections assessed, I'll say 3, number of students assessed, I'll say 80, and number of students who met the competency. So I'm going to say 73 students met the competency, which is why I selected target benchmark met. Then you could provide any optional charts and graphs, because in this field right here, it's a rich text field. If you built some kind of visual, or you had a table, you could embed that right here. And then what, if any, impact did the previous action plan have on the result data above? So if you had an action plan that you wanted to implement in your course, then what did it do to these particular results? And then we have a section for future actions. Do you need any resources, equipment, hiring, supplies, or tutoring? Again, this is a multi-select. And then explain how resources will be used. So when you fill all of those things out, and you'll see that this is a requirement because of the asterisk, whereas this one is not. These are required. Anywhere you see an asterisk, it is a required field, and as long as you have those filled in, you could click save, and you will have a save and submit, or save and keep editing. So if you need to come back, save and keep editing, but once you are done, click save and submit. Your results go straight back into the platform, and no one has to knock on your door. No one has to ask you to email them to them. The doc doesn't have to do it for you. Boom, you are done. Now, again, if that is not how your department is set up and the doc wants to enter in one big aggregate result, then they certainly can. So this is just an example of what you're going to see and what you will report out on, what you should be used to reporting out on from the process that you've had. So there really are no surprises there. So what happens with all of this course level data? Well, what we'll do with this course level data is a course that belongs to an instructional program. That data is going to get sent down to that instructional program. So if I come to, I'm going to type sample again, I'm going to click instructional program, and no, I don't want to save anything on this page. Then we come to the instructional program, and this is where our program learning outcomes are going to live, and it's also where program review lives. So We have a set of analytics already for program review. We will have a set of visual analytics for PLOs and CLOs, and then courses and course listings, so that you always know in your program as a doc, as a PR lead, program review lead writer, what curriculum are you working with. Program review lead writers can see everything. Docs can see everything, but program review lead writers will only have access to enter in information to this program review section. And docs will only have access to enter in data in this outcomes assessment area. So we have all, in addition to the course learning outcomes and the courses, Nuventive has uploaded your program learning outcomes. So if I come and click on program learning outcomes assessment, then you'll see your program learning outcomes. If I double click, now you will see where you have the ability as the doc to put in an assessment design and your measurements. You can align your program learning outcome to institutional learning outcomes, and that's as easy as just highlighting the X. So, I'm in critical thinking, I'm aligning critical thinking to maybe all of these critical thinking ILOs. I'm going to save. And then we also have a results section. So if I want to enter in results, or again, if I want to send an assignment on an assessment measure, I can do that as well. So again, the doc can do it, or someone who has full access can come in and put in a result, or you could send an email assignment out to the person or people that need to provide that data for you. You also have the ability to run reports. This is coming soon. We are going to give you the ability to run your own reports. We just haven't put it in yet because we're not completely done yet. And then everybody, again, has a document library. And this document library can be created with as many folders as you want, as many files as you want to put in the folder, and only those who have access to an instructional program or to a student services unit can access those files. And then the last thing that you'll see is an access list. So it's updated overnight. Who actually has access? So it's very transparent. You will be able to see who has a and I'll make this bigger for you, who has a, I'm trying to, my screen won't cooperate. So for the instructional program sample, who is in here as a doc? There are some names. Let me see if I can get it bigger for the video. No, I can't. You can export this to Excel. Who has full access to everything, which would just be a very small core group of people in institutional effectiveness. Who are the PR lead writers? So it is very clear who has access to which areas. So I will back this out and make this appropriate again for the size of my screen. And one thing that you will notice, so under outcomes assessment, we do have maps, PLOs aligned to institution learning outcomes, and then course learning outcomes mapped to program learning outcomes. You'll see little things on the side of the screen, and these are little thumbnails. So these thumbnails, when we open them up, are going to point to different resources. And as you think of different resources that you might need, so if we come to PLOs aligned to ILOs, over here, if I click on this institutional, I'll make it a little bit smaller for you, institutional learning outcomes, if I click on this, it's going to open up a split screen, and it will open up a Word document, and it says click here to open a new tab and view the San Diego Mesa College institutional learning outcomes. So there are resources. So if I click, it will open up a new tab, and it navigated me right to the website. And I click back on a previous tab to get back into the platform. But we're going to be adding in videos, help, help guides, maybe instruction manuals, anything that you are going to need in order to get your work done In the program review section, we have a big list of resources over here on the right-hand side. And so we'll do that as well, whatever is appropriate for the outcomes assessment. But this was just a really nice way to give you a short video of what to expect. There is so much benefit to using the Nuventive Improvement Platform, just in terms of the ease of use to gather information, the privacy that you're going to have in terms of only giving access to people who need to see things, but also allowing you really, really great visual analytics so that you can get in there and do the real work of looking at what's working, what's not, where the student success is happening, where the disparities might be, and how to improve for the San Diego Mesa student population. I mean, because that's what we're all working towards. So again, this is just a very brief, high-level overview. I think you will all really enjoy what you can garner from this platform. It is not a data warehouse where data is just being stored. This is for you to be able to make really nice analyses on what's happening for your students in a way that you're only looking at factual data. It's not about the section. It's not about the person teaching it. It's really and truly about what we're doing for the students and how the students are responding. So thank you very much, and I hope this is a great video for you.